This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Hey there, good to see you again. Kenny B flying solo this week. No Ray in the studio, but we'll check in with him in just a little bit. He's got a report out of Berry College on how student workers there are handling the COVID-19 crisis. Some choosing to stay behind while their peers head home to finish their studies. Also on the program, for years, Bramlett Trout Farms has been a supplier to some of the finer restaurants in Metro Atlanta. But with many of them still limited to takeout only, could this Fannin County mainstay be in jeopardy? And then later, Our Georgia Farmers, a short-form documentary produced by the Crossroads Music Festival, which tells the story of those impacted by Hurricane Michael. Their accounts of the days that followed, enough to bring even the strongest person to tears. These stories and so much more start right now on the Farm Monitor. With producers working on such narrow margins, it's crucial for them to receive payments on all the products that they sell. However, when they don't, there is one sector within the Department of Agriculture that can help. Damon Jones explains.
Between the costs of planting, growing, and harvesting a crop, farmers rely on timely payments in order to run a successful operation. That's why it's so important for them to know about the Warehouse and Bonding Department, whose main purpose is to provide some peace of mind for the producers.
The Warehouse and Bonding section is here to help protect the Georgia producers. We go out and check every grain warehouse that buys from Georgia producers. We make sure that they're bonded and that they're covered. On the produce side, we make sure that all of these producers are dealing with people that are bonded, that if something was to happen and they didn't get paid for their product, that we are able to come in and help protect them.
However, to provide that protection, it's imperative the farmers do their part as well by making sure they only sell to licensed brokers.
The produce market is so volatile and it's such a perishable item. Once it comes out of that field, it has to be sold. I'm not telling them to pass up a deal. I'm just asking them to ask a question. Are you licensed and bonded with the state? Sell them the product if you would like, but no, you're doing that at your own risk.
It's also incumbent on the producer to get in touch with the Warehouse and Bonding Department at warehouse.bonding@agr.georgia.gov as soon as a payment is late.
If, let's say, a producer sends a load and in 30 days they don't get their money, they can call me and I'll contact them and kind of be the mediator. I can't provide legal advice or legal anything for them, but I'll go to that broker, call them, go to them, visit them if I can, and say, look, you owe this guy money. What are we going to do to fix this?
And there are numerous examples of them helping farmers avoid a financial crisis that could have put their operation in danger.
We had a problem with a company going bankrupt on us actually, and left owing us a pretty substantial debt, especially for our operation. We're a small farm. It got taken care of, it got resolved. And I don't know how we would have made it. It would really hurt.
And for those producers who think delinquent payments aren't a big issue within the industry, they might want to think again.
It's actually more prevalent than you would realize, and a lot of times it goes under the radar and we never hear about it because they get in a routine. Well, he pays me, but he pays me slow. But whenever it becomes slow, there's already an issue. So that's whenever we need them to reach out to us.
Well, if I had any advice to pass on from my experience would be, number one, make sure who you're dealing with is licensed and bonded. And number two, the very minute you think you got some trouble, reach out to the Department of Agriculture.
Reporting from Tattnall County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
It has been well documented that the ag industry has taken a significant hit from the COVID-19 pandemic. But despite these challenging times, farming operations have continued to work by growing and harvesting their crops. One popular trout farm in northeast Georgia is no different. Bramlett Trout Farm has been working day and night taking care of their stocked raceways, despite not even having a market for their fish right now. John Holcomb has more.
Welcome to Bramlett Trout Farms, you guessed it, trout farm located in northeast Georgia in Fannin County. Terry and his wife Ruth have been running this farm for decades, and in those years have been building up a name for themselves and building up their clientele to mostly restaurants in the Atlanta area.
We're a cold water hatchery and production facility. We raise rainbow trout, the Kamloops strain. We market about 90% of our fish to restaurants in the Atlanta area. We do some live hauling. We hatch approximately 60,000 eggs every 2 months. So we have various stages of growth to fit those different size requirements.
Normally, they're a lot busier, but like most things these days due to COVID-19, things have slowed down a bit. In the past 7 weeks, business has practically halted for the Bramletts due to restaurants closing.
Typically, we put around 1,000 pounds of live weight fish, into the Atlanta restaurants each week. We go through a grading process where they're sized. They go into an ice water slurry, and that's where they expire. They're packed in ice and delivered directly to the restaurants, usually within 3 to 4 hours of exiting the water. Again, ranging from 800 to 1,200 pounds per week, depending on the restaurant orders. Of course, when the restaurant shut down because of the pandemic, that went to 0. So we went 7 weeks without any deliveries to those restaurants.
However, just because business slows down doesn't mean that the work does. They grow the trout from eggs to full size at their farm, which takes at least a year, which means there's a lot of money involved and means they have to work hard to make sure even more money isn't lost.
We have significant fixed costs. We have a single pump up there that's pulling about $800 to $1,000 worth of power each month. Feed is extremely expensive. Eggs are also very expensive. We buy the best eggs that are available anywhere in the world, and those costs remain. So when you cut off the income stream, then those fixed costs certainly become pronounced. And we've cut back in a number of areas. We've slowed the growth down on our fish some purposely, so that we do not exceed those weight ranges that we need for our restaurant trade, and also it allowed us some savings on feed.
However, there is a light at the end of the very long tunnel. In the last couple of weeks, Governor Kemp has started to reopen the state, including restaurants, and the Bramletts are beyond ready to get back to normal.
We're very anxious to get back to the normalcy. Many of our restaurant customers place standing orders. We didn't even have to seek an order for each week. We knew what they were going to take week in, week out based on their demand, and we're very anxious to get back to that. We did have 2 restaurants come back online this week in a limited capacity. They're spacing their tables so that they meet the governor's guidelines.
Reporting in Fannin County for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Meanwhile, Georgia Farm Bureau doing its part to help with efforts during the COVID-19 crisis by donating $50,000 to the Georgia Food Bank Association. GFB President Gerald Long said Georgia Farm Bureau has a long-standing partnership with the Food Bank Association. We believe that it is appropriate to help all Georgia communities during these difficult economic times. It is our hope that this gift provides much-needed relief to the people in need. When we come back, Ray checks in with a story from Berry College and the student workforce there. So much of the day-to-day ag operations depends on their services. So what happens when the pandemic hits and the campus closes?
For seniors at Berry College, this weekend was supposed to be one of joy and celebration. The culmination of years of hard work and countless all-nighters in an effort to achieve their goal of walking across a stage and being handed their degree. But like everything else in 2020, COVID-19 changed the course of their future.
Personally, my senior season athletic career was cut short as well. I'm on the equestrian team here at Berry, so unfortunately that was cut short. So there was a lot of things going around that were very unfortunate, but everything happens for a reason.
And being from nearby Cumming, Georgia, Maggie could have easily headed home and finished out the semester working remotely like the majority of students in America. But she didn't. She chose to stay and help maintain the equine facility. And she wasn't the only one who opted to hold down the fort.
You know, since COVID-19 quarantines happened, I was approved 6 students to stay behind, and you know, the students willingly stayed behind to help because they wanted to help the operations move forward. So part of what I've been doing to help is stepping in, helping out with shifts, and luckily the students that are willing to help out are students who are trained in these areas and they can handle the work by themselves. So we just divide and conquer and just get all the chores done, make sure cows are milked, calves are fed, cows are fed, and everything's as normal as it can be.
I could have gone back. Daniel gave me the offer, but I was already here working spring break holiday, and he asked, and I'm a sucker for flattery. So he asked me, and so I decided to stay. These animals depend wholly on us. So, you know, when the college closed, you know, there's got to be people here taking care of them. The cows still got to get milked, they still got to get fed. And, you know, being an animal science major, you know, it tugs on my heartstrings. So, you know, I want to stay and make sure that they, you know, get the best care as possible, even if we only had, you know, 3 students at a time and then now 7.
Yeah, we went from 20, 25, 26 down to 5, but you know, the way we were able to work the schedule and rotate the students in and out, we've got things under control. We'd like to have the grass cut and all the horses worked and all the things like that, but you know, we're getting the horses taken care of, water, feed, hay, in and out of the pastures, barns clean, everything basic healthcare is being taken care of.
Across campus, horticulturist Andrea Jones typically has as many as 12 students at her disposal. When the campus closed, her saving grace came from outside the department.
The girls who were stuck here, I have one from Russia and one from Malaysia, and then I had one earlier from New York City. They could not leave. And so after a few days of sitting around the dorm, they decided to talk to some of the administrators to see if there was something they could do around here. Because their normal jobs that they had during regular semester time, they couldn't do those. Everything was locked down, there wasn't any activity, there were no other students. And so some of our students, some of those girls, talked to the dean and to the some of the other administrators to see if they could find something to do, see if they could give them a good job on campus. And sure enough, here's a greenhouse full of plants that needed student workers. So that's how I got them.
The good thing is we can at least, you know, we're essential work and we at least have a job. You know, there's some people right now that are not fortunate that because of this quarantine, they don't have a job to go to right now. So just always be optimistic, always look at the positive when things are getting rough.
In Floyd County, for the Farm Monitor, I'm Ray DeLessio.
All right, Ray, and great job. You know, it's often said that time heals all wounds. Well, try telling that to the farmers who nearly lost everything to Hurricane Michael. Their accounts of that fateful morning now a part of an incredible documentary. That is next. Stay tuned. Bringing people together around music for a greater cause. That is the motto of the Crossroads Music Festival held annually in Thomasville, Georgia. The brainchild of singer-songwriter Dana King, the event has raised money for the likes of the Red Cross and more recently farmers and producers affected by catastrophic storms. With South Georgia still recovering from Hurricane Michael and to raise awareness, the festival documented the stories of 6 farmers who were front and center of Michael's wrath. Produced by Alex Juarez, the short documentary, which you're about to see in its entirety, paints a vivid picture of the hours leading up to the storm, the farmers' reactions after it hit, and why they continue to farm despite all odds.
I want to farm. You know, that's what I want to do. I've done some other things, but growing up around it, being around it, I go back to being on a farm.
I love what I do. I love the farm. Once you get it in your blood, I don't think you could do anything else.
I'm a fourth generation farmer with my father, my brother, my son, my nephew, my first cousin. We all farm together.
I mean, you have to be strong mentally. You have to have a strong back. You have to have a strong faith.
There's so much sacrifice. That a farmer has to give. You leave home in the morning. You have an infant at the house. You come home at 12 o'clock at night. You got an infant in the house, and you leave. She's asleep. You get back, she's asleep. So what are we sacrificing to try to make a living? And sooner or later, you question yourself whether this is what you want to do. It's your passion. Agriculture is first and foremost the largest economic factor in the state of Georgia. Nothing comes close.
The agriculture for the state of Georgia is well over $73 billion in economic impact, which is huge. Agriculture is our #1 industry. 1 out of 7 Georgians work in or around agriculture.
The last 2 years have been terrible for the cotton industry. Most people don't know cotton is the largest row crop in Georgia. We are only second to Texas, and we are a major exporter of cotton. It creates many jobs throughout this state. Should be $2.5–3 billion industry, but here the last couple of years we've took some billion-dollar losses.
Hurricane Michael hit southwest Georgia with an unexpected force on October 10th.
As crops, trees, and buildings were blown over by more than 100-mile-an-hour wind. One of the crops most affected was cotton, as this year's bumper yield was wiped away in a matter of hours.
Small towns and farms face something unseen in the state for more than 100 years.
Hurricane Michael placed about a $3 billion loss on our state in the area of agriculture.
We could have weathered Hurricane Irma with the crop that we had in the field last year. People had been talking about how there'd been a bumper crop and probably the biggest crop of cotton that South Georgia has ever grown.
Best crop we've had in a long time, best markets we've had in a long time. Everybody in agriculture was going to make money in 2018.
We were really excited about it. We just couldn't wait to get in the field. I had 700 acres that was defoliated, ready to pick. We had picked 80 acres of it whenever that fateful windy night in South Georgia came, and the next morning was just devastating. I had talked to my daddy about 8 o'clock that night, and I said, well, I think we're gonna get out of this pretty good. Within an hour of that conversation, it got totally devastating.
When I got out that morning, I literally couldn't talk.
I didn't think, we didn't think it was that bad, because we ride by at 55, 60 miles an hour. You see white. You don't see the, 4, 5, 6, or whatever 100 pounds that's laying on the ground. That's gone. Once it touches the ground, it's done.
I texted the Commissioner of Agriculture on Thursday morning at 7:30. I said, Commissioner, I don't know what you know yet, but this is going to be bad.
I got to the first cotton field. It was a neighbor of ours, Brian Cape, and I pulled up in Brian's field, and I took about 3 steps in it, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Well, imagine waking up, going to bed one night, and you got a cotton crop out there that's going to set a record crop. And you wake up the next morning and it's all gone. You didn't just lose $1,000 or $2,000. You lost anywhere from $2,000 up to $500,000 overnight.
I mean, within a matter of 4 hours, your entire crop is gone. Everything that you had worked for all year, everything that you looked and prayed over all year long was gone, and therefore the only place we had to look was up.
It costs a lot to do what we do. And that's the problem that we have now is, our input costs continue to go up, but the price we receive for the products we grow and produce continues to go down.
I'd say I've lost anywhere between 1.2 and 1.5 million dollars.
There's no way to measure the actual loss, but we were down 25 to 30,000 bales. I had friends and cotton gins that lost 40 and 50,000 bales.
We've lost about $1,250,000 probably in the past 2 years.
I'm back basically to square one. Everything I've done for 30 years, I've mortgaged back to the hilt. There's no way out without selling my property and to get my feet back on the ground.
It was a gut punch because we were, I guess you say, looking for pay dirt, and because it was a great crop that went south fast. It just goes to show in life, not just on the farm, things can change in the blink of an eye. I don't think the general public realizes how important what we do is.
We've just been beat down so many times that farming communities, a lot of times we don't give up on trying. We just kind of get beat down with being pushed down and thinking that we're not important.
As a farmer, there's always next year, and that, we say that, and that's what we believe. And there is always next year, and we're going to plant another seed, and we're going to go again, but we have to have money. So the financial part of it is, we've been working together. I hope we can all continue to work together, but if we don't get help from the federal government, if we don't have a good crop, if we don't have a good market for the crop, then I think things are going to start snowballing on us, and that's the scary part.
My biggest fear in agriculture is, one, we live in a nation that doesn't care. Number two, we're not encouraging people to come into this business. But there again, why would they want to? We've had 2 hurricanes. Our Midwest neighbors are flooding.
We incentivize the movie industry. We incentivize the music industry. We incentivize a lot of manufacturers to come to our state. But are we doing anything to incentivize people to buy our agricultural, Georgia-grown products?
I have 3 nephews, Clint, Kobe, and Clay. And I want to see them have the opportunity to go in agriculture and agribusiness if they so choose.
I'm a part of the Young Georgia Farmers Association, or in Georgia. Our FFAs, they're pushing more to the livestock instead of they are row crop. I don't know where the future farmer's going.
The farmer's going to survive. We're going to make it like everybody else in this room. We're going to survive.
Farmers are resilient. Farmers are going to do everything possible to try to make a living. We hate to be told we're losers.
Somebody out there that has seconds in, or about even wanting to farm, or say they've been farming a couple of years, they don't think it's worth it. It'll be worth it. It may not be this year. It may not be next year. It'll be worth it.
And that can be a bitter pill to swallow. But what do? You get up, you pull your bootstraps up, you tighten your belt another hole, and you go on.
Yeah, this is a business you can't have a pity party. You can't feel sorry for yourself. You gotta get up and keep going. No matter what today handles, tomorrow's got to be there. Gonna be there, and you got to be prepared to face it.
I've been waiting on a miracle. I've been waiting on a sign, something borderline biblical, a band of angels in a line. I've always heard it happens that way, a star shooting across the sky, something pointing out.
Some incredible storytelling there, and again, a huge thanks to everyone at the Crossroads Music Festival for allowing us to share it with you. And with that, we'll send you on your way. For all of us here at the show, take care, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Farm Monitor. Be safe.